Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
Hello LumioseStation and welcome back to another episode of Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. Today we're looking at Vaporeon, and remember, if you want to, you can suggest other Pokémon for me to look at in this series in the comment section below, so please go and do that. Anyway, let's get started. So, Vaporeon, it's the Bubble Jet Pokémon and a Water type. It's number 134 in the National Pokédex, and also features in the Coastal Kalos Pokédex as number 78. It stands at 3 foot 3 inches tall, or 1 meter tall, and weighs 63.9 pounds, or 29 kilograms. It's in the Field Egg group, and is a male 87.5% of the time, and a female 12.5% of the time, which is the same as Eevee and obviously the rest of the Eevee family. As I mentioned already, it is related to Eevee, as you would already know I guess. It evolves from Eevee when a Water Stone is used upon it. Looking at its base stats very quickly now, we can see it has a high health point stat and also a fairly high special attack stat, but low defense stat, attack stat, speed stat, etc. So it's more of a bulky attacker, bulky special attacker rather than a physical or a defensive Pokemon. Or yeah, you guys know what I mean. Anyway, first off, we're looking at the type matching. Obviously, it's a pure water type, so it resists steel, fire, water, and ice type moves, and is weak to grass and electric type moves, and takes neutral damage from all the rest. So, being a pure water type, it's nothing too special, it's just a water type. You guys all know what the water type resists and stuff, so nothing too much to say here. Obviously, it resists more than it's weak to, which is always a good thing. So, yeah, water is a generally good type as well for offensive, too. Good. So, then the abilities. Its only ability normally is Water Absorb, which restores health points if it's hit by a water type move, and its hidden ability, which you will get if you evolve an Eevee with Adaptability rather than Runaway, gives you Hydration, which heals status conditions if it's raining, which was more of a useful ability in the last generation, but it's still fairly useful in this generation. Taking a quick look at the highlighted moves for Vaporeon, it learns Baton Pass at level 33 when it's an Eevee, we got to point out, and that's a normal type move. Obviously, you know what Baton Pass is, allows you to switch out while still maintaining sort of, stat changes, substitute, stuff like that. It also learns Aqua Ring at level 25, which is a good move for healing up, basically like another leftovers sort of benefit. Then level 29 learns Acid Armor, which is a poison type move that sharply raises its defense, which is always good if you're going for more of a bulky Pokemon. Then looking pretty much at just the TMs, TM05 it can learn Roar, which scares the opponent out pretty much, and TM06 can also learn, which is Toxic, which obviously badly poisons the opponent. TM13 Ice Beam, which is a strong ice type move. TM17 Protect, which obviously protects Vaporeon for the turn. TM55 Scold, which is a pretty powerful water type move. TM90 Substitute, which obviously puts a substitute up, which will absorb your health points. And then one of the egg moves you'll definitely want to have on your Vaporeon is Wish. And obviously, you've got to breed onto that. Wish is a very helpful move as it sort of, you use the move, and then I think it's 2 or 3 turns later, you get granted the Wish and you get your health points restored, which is always helpful. Okay, so on to Wi-Fi setups for Vaporeon. The first setup we're looking at here is more of a bulky Pokemon rather than attacking, but obviously it can still deal out some decent damage when it needed to. So, moveset, you want Wish, Protect, Scold, and then your attacking, or not secondary attacking move can be, or it can be a sort of support move. It can be Toxic, Ice Beam, or Roar. Obviously, Toxic is, Toxic and the Roar are more of the supportive ones, whereas Ice Beam is the offensive. Ability here, you want Water Absorb over Hydration. Nature, you want a Bold Nature to increase your defense and lower your physical attack, because we're not using physical attack here. And held item here is Leftovers, which is going to obviously restore your health points at the end of the turn. Then EVs, you want to put maximum in health points, maximum in the defense, and the rest in special defense. Okay, so if we look in more depth at this Wi-Fi setup, obviously here you have Wish, first off, which is going to allow you to get pretty decent, health point restoring, and obviously, that's always good to stay in a bit longer. Then we have Protect, which is obviously going to pretty much a stalling move there, which is helpful if you're waiting for your Wish to come true so you can restore your health points, or your Leftovers to sort of, boost your health points up again. Then we have Scold, which is obviously your main attacking move on this set. Obviously water type, you get stabbed from it, and there's a possibility to burn. Isn't too much, but obviously can be very helpful, or sometimes winning the match. For example, if you're going up against the Garchomp, use your Scold. Doesn't necessarily kill it, but you get the burn off, and that's pretty much doesn't completely exclude the Garchomp from attacking you, but obviously it's going to reduce its effectiveness quite a lot, so it's going to help you out in the long term. or in the short term, or one of those. Then we have Toxic, Ice Beam, or Raw. Obviously Toxic is just sort of a thing if you're staying in, you want to Toxic all of their Pokemon, or of your opponent's Pokemon. Always a good thing for long matches. Obviously, means they can't sweep your team necessarily, means they can't, stall and stuff like that. Then obviously Ice Beam is another attacking move if you want it. Gives you some more coverage, for example, against grass type Pokemon, against flying type Pokemon like that you're not going to get with your water type move necessarily. Because you got to remember here, we're not a attacking setup really. This is more of a bulky setup. So I'm going to be hitting out those, one hit KOing majority of the time. Obviously some Pokemon will go down to a one hit KO, but majority of them, they'll stay around for a bit longer. So obviously carrying that Ice Beam might be helpful in, just sort of hitting a few more Pokemon out. Then we also have Roar, which is helpful to get rid of people that are setting up. For example, I don't know, if you get an Aegislash come out and it's Sword Stance, it's like Sword Stancing once or twice. Obviously an Aegislash isn't going to be affected by Roar, I don't think, because obviously it's a Ghost type, but it's just an example. If you get a Pokemon that's coming out that's going to do a Sword Stance or two, you want to get rid of it really, because your Vaporeon isn't going to necessarily be able to take it out. So having the Roar there can, obviously just get rid of the Pokemon, and it will get rid of their stat changes, and they won't be able to sweep through your team. So the ability Water Absorb is definitely the better option about a hydration here, because obviously we're not running Rain Dance on the setup. Obviously you could run hydration if you really want to, but it's not too helpful, because obviously we're not going to get poisoned or paralyzed a whole lot. Obviously you get it every now and again from being toxic or body slam, paralysis, etc. But it's not something that's going to be happening every match. So obviously hydration isn't necessarily going to there. And then when it does happen, so when you are hit by toxic, if the rain isn't up, it's not going to help you at all. So Water Absorb really is the better choice here, even though majority of people won't be using water type moves on a Vaporeon because they know that they know it's going to have Water Absorb. However, you could use it later on in the match if you have Fire type out. Say your Vaporeon's been out already and it's got like half health, and you've got your Fire type out, you can predict they're going to use a Water type move on you, so you can switch out to your Vaporeon. The Vaporeon will take the attack and get some health point restored, so that's always a good tactic you could use there. Obviously the nature, as I said already, is going to boost your defense, and that's really a good thing for this setup. Yeah, pretty much, and obviously it's going to lower your attack, but we don't really care about the attack because we're more of a special attacker, and as I said already, we're not really an attacking setup anyway. Held item is leftovers here, which is always helpful since we're more of this is a stalling, bulky setup here, so obviously the leftovers will restore your health points over time, which is always helpful. EV spread, maximum health points, maximum defense, and the rest in special defense. Obviously, bulky, so we're mainly focusing on health points and defense here, because obviously the bold nature is going to boost the defense anyway. And your maximum health points there is going to help you out with just really the wish and the stuff like that. Obviously, our defense, the defense is the lowest stat. Defense is only 60, whereas the special defense is 95. The reason we're actually focusing all our stuff in defense is just to really boost it up to what the special defense is similar. So they have, instead of putting it all in special defense rather than this way around, obviously, because then you'd have a really weak defense there. So obviously any physical attack could just come in and take you out in one or two moves, really give you a 2-hit KO there. So obviously spreading it out and making it a bit more layered, I guess, it really helps you to take more hits overall. So now if we move on to the second setup, and this is a Baton Pass setup here. So let's get going, shall we? Moves, obviously I said Baton Pass, Substitute, then Scold or Roar here, and then your final slot you want Acid Armor, Wish or Aqua Ring. I'm going to talk through those options a bit later on. Ability again is Water Absorb, as I've said already. It's more of a it's the better setup really. Nature is Bold, as again, defense boost, attack loss. Hideout again is leftovers just for the extra health point restoring. And then EV, maximum health points, 120 in defense and 136 in speed. I shall go over that EV spread in just a second. So then, okay, so first off, moveset, Baton Pass. Obviously Baton Pass allows you to switch out, but retaining your attack, defense, whatever boosts, and also stuff like Wish and Substitute. Obviously then the second one is Substitute, which allows you to sacrifice some of your health points to put up Substitute, which is very helpful indeed. Then we have the Scold and the Roar, or Scold or the Roar, sorry. Scold if you want a attacking move on this setup. If you don't want any attacking moves at all, you just want it to be sort of a setup, I guess. Or you can put the Roar on, because that would help you sort of stay in and actually do your setup in case something comes in that's going to screw you over or take you out in one turn, etc. Then the final slot we have Acid Armor, Wish or Aqua Ring. Acid Armor if you want to boost up your special defense, because obviously then you can use Baton Pass to transfer it to whatever Pokemon you want to send out. For example, if, I don't know, you want to switch out to a Goodra, that thing is going to get a really high special defense there, so it's going to become really a very big special defense tank. Obviously you wouldn't really do that because Goodra is not particularly amazing anyway, but it's just an idea. Obviously Wish is going to be very helpful because obviously we're putting maximum health points there, which is going to allow Vaporeon to make huge wishes, pretty much like that's the only way I can say it. So you can switch out to any of your Pokemon, and because Vaporeon has a pretty high health point stat anyway, I mean 130 is pretty damn high, plus the maximum health points there, it's going to allow you to create huge wishes. That's going to actually go out and restore pretty much any Pokemon almost fully. Depends what Pokemon you're using, obviously, but it can restore your teammates. So obviously, if your Mega Evolution is down low on health, you can always send your Vaporeon out, set up a wish, and then switch out to your Mega Evolution, and then hope it kind of goes through at the right time. That's really for you to determine yourself, and then the wish will come through, and you've got a fully healed Mega Evolution, which is going to be very, very good, especially if it's not carrying your leftovers or any other healing moves. Obviously, the other option here is Aqua Ring, because I do believe Baton Pass actually sort of keeps your Aqua Ring if you switch out and such. So obviously you could do that and you get an Aqua Ring plus a leftovers or whatever if your other Pokemon is holding that, I guess. Ability again is Water Absorb, because hydration isn't very helpful, especially since the fact that rain only lasts for 5 turns in this generation. So it's not 5 turns or 8 turns with the Damp Rock, so it's not like you can just send a Politoed out at the start of the match, get the Drizzle up, and you've got rain for the rest of the match. It's not the way it works. Bold Nature again, don't need to explain it, just very high defense. Hold Item again is Leftovers. If you combine that with Aqua Ring, obviously you've got Leftovers and Aqua Ring, which is going to be very good, especially if you're substituting. You can substitute, and then you've got pretty much at least half the substitute restored from the Aqua Ring and the Leftovers. So yeah. Especially if you're using Baton Pass or whatever, it's going to be very helpful. EVs here. Okay, so maximum health points again, as I mentioned, because of the huge wishes we can then grant. And then EVs, 120 in defense, which is going to give you some decent defense, and the 136 in speed is to make sure you outspeed certain Pokemon. It's just a certain spread that's been set up here. So it's going to help you outspeed majority of your threats, not the majority of them, but a good amount of your threats, so you can obviously get through and use the Roar before they use an attack on you to take you out, and stuff like that. So really that's the reason for it. So yeah, those are your Vaporeon setups. You could do some other setups. If you really wanted to use Hydration, you could probably combine it with Rest to get obviously the free sort of revive or awakening from with the Hydration. Obviously then you have to have a Rain Dancer or Rain setup on your team. Probably a Politoed, obviously, for the Drizzle. Then again, you got 2 Water types on your team, which is a bit risky. So it's really just down to whatever how much you want to challenge yourself. You could go for the hydration use and see how that goes. You could also set up a special attacking Vaporeon and use what's the nature of the boost special attack? Not Adamant, that's the other way. Modest, that's the one. Just completely lost my mind. Went off my. You guys know what I mean. Anyway, so yeah, you could set up a modest Vaporeon, attempt to use it with a special attacking setup, but I don't think that would work amazingly well, but you could challenge yourself. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode of Pokemon DataDex, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in. You can also check out other videos on LumioStation. Please make sure to do, because we have loads of other awesome content and stuff like that. You can also follow me on Twitter at TheOneIntegral, and subscribe to me on Facebook at, again, TheOneIntegral. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.